fucking weird. My cousin in the old man's seat.
It's like Sun Tzu says. A good commander is benevolent and unconcerned with fame.
What?
Sun Tzu, the Chinese Prince Machiavelli. Tony turned me on to it. Zoo. Sun Tzu, you fucking ass kiss.
Oh, yeah, you ass kiss. Welcome to Cut to Black, a Sopranos sit-down. My name is Jim Scampoli, and I've seen every episode of The Sopranos.
My name is Jacob Burrows, and I've seen 54 episodes of The Sopranos, and I can't believe he's being called out on Sun Tzu, but what's he saying? What did he actually say? It's supposed to be Machiavellian, right? I think that's what it is, but then I could be Paulie Walnuts. I don't even know.
He calls him the Chinese Prince Machiavelli, and yeah, he's
Excellent.
referring to Machiavelli, I assume. This episode was written by Matthew Weiner, the creator of Mad Men, directed by Alan Taylor, who's directing the upcoming Sopranos prequel film, Newark.
Ooh.
It's just been shortened to Newark. It's cleaner. This episode aired March 14th, 2004, so over 15 years ago, and it's titled Rat Pack.
Excellent. Yes. Well, wait. What was it called before? Before it was Newark? Do we know? Saints of Newark.
The Many Saints of Newark, or something like that. Yeah.
Lose the many saints of.
Yeah.
Just Newark. Yeah. It's cleaner.
It's cleaner. Better.
Excellent. Let's get into Rat Pack, though, episode 2 here. Some familiar faces popping up. We knew it was coming, but here we are. I mean, is Steve Buscemi, obviously a well-known face, one that cannot be, you can't mistake him for someone else, and he's got an iconic look to him, and he's in The Sopranos now, and it is a little bit like... Yeah, there's that famous guy, for me, or at least he's so recognizable, So it not that it brings you out of it. I am excited about it, but I do like that they don't make him, oh, I gotta get my shy, I gotta get my cash. Like he wants to be a massage therapist. This is good, I think, at this point, because we've seen this character, this sort of cycle repeat a few times, So I like that they're going another way with it.
I do remember being a young lad and being very disappointed that Steve Buscemi didn't come into the show like guns blazing, like a Richie Aprile or something, because that's when you hear, like, in the off season when you're waiting a year or whatever for the new Sopranos, and they're like, oh, they added Steve Buscemi to the show, and you're like, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be awesome, Buscemi's awesome, and then he wants to go the straight and narrow, he wants to be a massage therapist. It's classic Sopranos. I mean, with hindsight and being a more mature and intelligent man now, I understand what they're doing, and yes, I do agree. It is the better route to go.
Yes. So we do start out with something else, though. We start out in a rainy diner. We have what's his face, Masserone, right? That's Jack Masserone.
Masserone. I guess he's involved with the whole Esplanade thing.
Yeah.
He's involved with the construction. He's one of the contractors they deal with.
I didn't completely remember it. I did have to look it up, but he has been in 2 previous episodes, Do Not Resuscitate and No Show. So he's in the 15th episode, early season 2 there, where I don't remember what he was doing. Jack Masserone. Let me check real quick. Yeah, so there's this. Remember, there was this labor strike and anti-union protests, and there was this reverend guy, and it was all arranged from beforehand. So Jack was with us fairly early on. But yeah, I honestly was like, I know I've seen this guy, but I don't know where. And now he's like bringing Tony paintings. He's talking all sweet to him and getting on his side. Suspicious behavior, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, and even like I mean, obviously, like I said, I've seen these episodes before, but I haven't seen these in a while. But the hat looks so out of place, like, already. But I guess it's raining out, and what he makes the excuse of, like, I just got hair plugs or something or other. That's why I don't want to take my hat off. But he just seems so suspicious.
Yeah. Well, I read it as, like, he's not used to dealing with mob stuff, and he thinks he's being inconspicuous by wearing a weird hat so no one can, like, see his face. And I thought that was how Tony read it as well. Like, come on, relax, take your hat off. But then, of course, the hat is a microphone. Isn't it amazing what technology can do these days? Yep. First off, though, let's talk about this painting. This painting is not good. It's the Rat Pack, so they're good. But this composition is so ridiculous. It's one of, like he says, the guy's a local all right, he makes it as part of a program for disabled vets, whatever. But the painting is not good, right?
Yeah, well, I'm pulling it up real quick because I gotta kind of remember it. Yeah, no, it's not good.
What's the
It
three of
looks
them?
like
And
it looks like a bad flyer for like a show or whatever, and you would
yeah,
use it as a goof.
yeah, it's like a pop art, like mistaken pop art mishmash of like it's Las Vegas. Oh, there's like dice and a roulette wheel in the corner, and they're just mashed together there. Like a clean photo of them or a clean painting of them just hanging out would have been maybe cool. But Tony doesn't mind. He loves it. He just likes that. Those guys, man, there sure were something back then. That camaraderie. It's almost like I do with my murder friends.
Yeah, exactly. And Macaron does bond with Tony a bit, kind of complaining about his mother.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I wasn't sure if they were going to show that was a little bit more premeditated or like he kind of knew where he was going with this or if it's just kind of a nice coincidence. But it works. I mean, Tony's not picking up anything. And I mean, even later on, he's not too.
Yeah. Exactly. So after this, we get a sort of a combination of shorter scenes where we see the FBI machinery at work. I mean, first off, we do see the crew. Well, actually, yeah. So there's guys outside watching, and there's a police man, coming up, shining a light at them. So we need to mention that. I was kind of like, what's happening here? What is the point of this? But obviously, it comes back so it's quite important. But so I'm trying to remember exactly where we move after that because I think we have
Adriana is talking in the car with her handler, and there's a guy in the back seat. There's this dude I don't think we've ever seen before, Joey Coco. They're asking about, and like there's a picture, and it's like, have you seen him together or something or other? And then he like runs away because it's he popped up dead or something. I don't think this counts on the death counter because again, I don't feel like this is a character we've seen before. I guess I could be wrong. But I don't think so.
Yeah, I was also trying to uncover that. I don't think we've seen him before, so I don't think it would count. I agree with you on that. And yeah, it's kind of like this. She's like, I don't know, I saw him, and he's like, run for the hills. Like, we got to get this guy. And I think it's there to make her realize, like, wait, I'm actually like, because she's gone from before being like, oh, I don't know, I'm not invited to the meetings, and now she's like getting people arrested for murder potentially. So she's in it at this point.
Yeah, she's kind of seeing kind of some of the direct impacts she can have. Because this guy runs away, and it's like just because of what I said. And then we get like a free flowing scene like through the Rat Pack, if you will, with the FBI going through tapes, talking about the hat wire, the kind of looking into the jury tampering that happened with Junior's trial. And it's funny with that where it's like, they're like, we just got to figure out how they could do this. And I guess there's like there's a line where they're like, we got a girl downtown or something like that. There's just all it takes is just that like one person, like their own, I guess, reverse rat, if you will, that gives the information out. And as we see with the detail you just brought up with the cop that happens to see the two guys in the car, everyone's kind of spying on everyone. It does harken back a little bit to season 3. When we have that extended FBI thing, I'm realizing like the FBI stuff is always a little boring because we're away from Tony and the gang, and it's like I don't really give a shit. I guess it is adding a little tension because we do see between Macaron and then who's the other guy? Like the guy that's always been in the background since season 1. We see that he's also an informant.
Yeah. So he's a capo, right? The guy with the hat, the sun hat. That's what I was thinking of as well, because they're playing the same clip that we played at the intro of one of our episodes at the start of last season when Tony was railing on about the economy and how they got to be out there earning, and he actually gets to clarify like what he means about some of the lines, because it's like, that inaudible means this and that, but he's more concerned with, hey, what am I getting for my expenses for this and that, so he's like nickel and diming them over his backstabbing the mob establishment. But I'm wondering, did we know this guy was an informant? I don't recall seeing it, but
they have a throwaway scene and around the big pussy stuff, so it must have been in season 2. But yeah, his name's Ray Curto. There's like a throwaway scene where he I think he like gets in a car with a handler or something and just like gives some information. Like it's a quick thing, but now they're kind of paying it off a little bit more here. Seeing him in the office and nickel and diming on his expenses that he needs for helping the FBI.
Yes, and like you mentioned, we have a quick FBI meeting. Now, I see where you're coming from, because I think the whole business with the lamp kind of, even if they didn't mean to, or maybe they did mean to, it sort of made us feel like the FBI was incompetent, especially when it came to the airline tickets that were a big deal. And I think that was kind of out of the hands of the writers, because that was supposed to be about Tony's mother, and obviously they had to write her out of it. So it felt a bit like, up in the air with that stuff. The only real danger feels like it's from Adriana. But then this is also one of those things where it feels like we're gonna maybe get caught up in mob stuff, and then all of a sudden everyone's gonna get arrested as well.
yeah, and I guess this is kind of their weird little payoff too, because from my understanding, I didn't dig too deep into this. It seems like that Mazzarone, they kind of got him through the airline tickets somehow, because they bring that up a little bit in relation to him, and I think that was tied in somewhat with the construction of the No, that was tied in with the sporting goods store. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was the sporting goods store. My bad.
I think they literally bring it up like similar to what I did, of like, you're really fucked up with the airline tickets, huh? That didn't go anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same what I'm thinking. But then, one of our FBI guys is like, oh, he's actually just annoyed because he wanted to get a job with the law firm or something, as far as I understood. Like the Sopranos trials blew, and that means something for this guy, because he
up whatever his next step on the ladder was, because that blew up in his face, so he has to take it out on the people below him, basically.
Yeah, so he fucked up his six-figure future with Melvin and Myers, which I assume is a law firm. So I was like, so he's... Do people leave the FBI to go into law? Is that a thing? I was wondering. Maybe. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know if it's like a consulting gig or like, because I guess I could see like someone that's in the FBI could be like lawyers use a lot of experts and stuff like that they bring in trial, and maybe you're a go-to. Who knows? It's probably some way you're just fucking someone else over.
Well, yes. I think when you get to the point where you're a contractor of that type, it doesn't really matter what you do. You just sign enormous amounts of money over to yourself. Back to mob stuff. So Feach is here, still hanging out in the Sopranos, in Junior's kitchen. Everyone's hanging out there, laughing it up about this weird salad that he found in a yard because he's a crazy person. Right?
Yeah, there's something going on, and then because then Junior won't eat it. Like when he's like, I was just being polite. Like he doesn't want to eat it later when Feach leaves. I don't really know the specifics on that either. And they're talking about this scam with some airbags that they're gonna like pull airbags out of cars and sell them or something like that. Who the fuck knows? And then there's a vacant lot they talk about, and Tony B is mentioned. He's getting out any day now, and of course Tony Egg. Who could forget Tony Egg?
Well, I could. What is it they say exactly? I don't remember.
No, it's just Junior, how we're seeing him crack, because he's like, make me an egg. Right. And then he goes, so what's going on with Tony Egg? And they're like, Tony Egg? Like, it's just...
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
It's just because, he asks again to make the egg, but then he's messing up. It's sad, but it's, they get to play it up a little bit, because especially seeing the reaction, because no one knows really what's going on with Junior, but he's, getting confused. He's getting older.
He's asking he's asking him to make an egg for Tony a bunch of times, and then it just comes out. Yeah.
Well, plus it's funny because, Tony Egg could be a guy, it totally like
out with Paulie Walnuts. Yeah.
You genuinely are like, wait, who's Tony Egg? Because again, it could have been someone, but no, it's just Junior fucking mixing up his shit. It's a perfect little, like, Sopranos is so good with those little details, like nailing it like that. It's such a good little mix-up that kind of tells you so much, but it's also really funny.
Yeah, it just made me remember a video made by The Situation from Jersey Shore's dad, where he was just talking about how he was such a proper Italian guy, and he was throwing out all these names like Joey the Beach, Mop.
Yeah.
Like all these weird names. I don't remember them, but it's like exactly one of those. And like you said, kind of making fun a little bit of that aspect of nicknaming stuff, but yeah, also serves the purpose of the plot, showing how Junior is cracking, much like an egg.
Yeah, and I think they also get the news here that Carmine passed away.
Yes.
So the Carmine, big part of the show. We do have to put that up on the old counter, if you will. Do I have my song?
Absolutely. Well, let's hope so. Absolutely. Let's kill him off immediately, much like
we
season
need to
5 did.
Go ahead, add. We're at 40 right now. We'll go ahead and add one to the counter here.
Gatsana Malanga, indeed. And we are going on 41 now deaths and still on 15 stormouts. 15 stormouts, everybody. So let's see. Yeah, like you said,
one other thing I wanted to point out when they get Carmine passed away, they have this like little thing about how Carmine's the one that invented point shaving. And I guess they are referencing a real historical game where it was like one of the first things, but it's so funny that it seems like it would be this old wives' tale, but they're like, no, he was the guy. He invented point shaving.
Right. Yes. So we do move directly to his funeral, wasting no time. And the dynamics of the funeral are a bit off because we have little Carmine, who's, actually genuinely upset, crying his eyes out, at least on the inside. I don't know if he actually cries in this scene. And then we have Johnny Sack, who, of course, is sort of moving into the power vacuum that's forming, kind of yucking it up. I think we've seen funerals like this before where it's like, yeah, but it's not really about the funeral, though. We're here to talk business.
Yep. Yeah, it's great because Johnny Sack comes in, like, big smile on his face, him and his crew. He does have Phil Leotardo and his crew, played by Frank Vincent, who we just saw him like on the TV in the first episode as one of the guys getting out of jail. They kind of just drop him already in Johnny Sack's crew here. But yeah, it's great because like Carmine, rightfully, it's insulting that, they're just partying at your dad's funeral, not even like trying to act like they're bummed out. And then it leads to kind of a blow up about the cross he's holding or something like that it's the rosaries. It's a certain type of religion or Christian or something or other. I forget exactly what they're talking about, but they're arguing over that. And it's like everyone's kind of awkwardly listening to them yell in the next room.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know about it and you're like from the East Coast of the U.S., I'm not going to know about it. But as far as I understand, Johnny Sack's wife is into some particular aspect of Christianity that involves these beads or whatever. And Carmine's like, what the fuck? Does he have these beads? He didn't believe in that. But then it is true. He's not really been around as much either. So how would he know?
Well, I'm pulling up real quick. Opus Dei, and I guess it's kind of I guess it's potentially like a Da Vinci Code reference. I think from what we're talking about here, because it's like around that time.
That actually sounds kind of familiar. Yeah, I think I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but I think DEI is like day. So it would be. I don't know. Why am I pretending like I know? Because I've actually heard of this. I don't know. Anyway, this is fucking boring.
Well, the medal on the rosary indicated it came from Opus Dei. Opus Dei is a personal prelature of the Pope, officially recognized sect within the Roman Catholic Church, which can liberally be described as very fundamentalist and strict in its beliefs. Many more progressives within the church see Opus Dei as a sort of cult following. Its core membership is almost exclusively men with few female members. So it's a perfect Sopranos argument where they're arguing over that, but it's over something else. Meanwhile, we also get introduced to Lorraine, the Lady Shylock, and her muscle Jason. It's like New York. We're just kind of meeting New York people here, basically.
Yeah, and I was, exactly. I was going to say that as well. This Lorraine character seems promising. Lone Shark, like you said, Lady Shylock. I was like, did she also get out of jail, or are we just meeting these people now? Because I don't know anymore. I'm assuming she's not been out, but I don't know.
I think she's just been around. Well, it's funny because I remember again, I always kind of go back to watching these originally, and with the space in between seasons, when you watch it, it was like a trick. I was like, oh yeah, this character's always been around, right? And meanwhile, no, they haven't. But
Yeah.
it's been like a year and a half since season 4 or whatever. Maybe it wasn't that long between these two, but I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember this character. Nope, you tricked me, David Chase.
Exactly. So that wraps that scene up. We have Tony not being very emotional at the funeral, and then he's watching a video or a film documentary about the old World War, and he's getting very emotional watching that because they're talking about someone going over the top, taking a bullet for you, and that's a powerful clip wherever that whatever that documentary's from. It's good stuff. I'm not.
Well, I was gonna say it's from Band of Brothers. Because Band of Brothers, like they have what's like 7 or 8 episodes or whatever, but then like the last episode, it's like you just watched this show and it's like a great, World War II show, and now it's like here's some of the real guys that these characters were, and they're like old men and they're crying because of war, and war is hell, man. And yeah, it's really emotional. It's really well done. And Tony loves history, and it's hitting Tony because especially with Tony B coming out. I mean, it's a bit on the nose, but Tony B's that guy that went over the hill for him.
I was gonna say, like, what is the point of this scene, Jim? But I think you nailed it with that. I mean, that's what he did. He didn't take the bullet, but he took the years for him, so that makes sense. He's sitting there getting emotional. Like, this scene doesn't really have a turning point, so it's not really even a scene. It's like just a little clip, so which feels almost a bit cheap to throw in there, but at the same time, we got to catch up with what Tony's doing. Well, of course, he's just sitting around watching TV in his mother's house, because for a little bit, I was like, oh, yeah, he's there with, Janice and stuff, and then I'm like, no, of course, Janice is off in the other house. It might be right across the road, but still, he's just there, so of course, he's just watching Band of Brothers, which was on HBO, I assume, right? Yeah, of course.
Yes,
they're going to put their own show on there.
Yeah. It is so genius, too, just the fact that Tony, I mean, never mind that he's by himself, but then he's in his mother's house, and just like with everything that everything that his mother represented to him, but now he's like, Tony, we know could just buy a house somewhere, but like for the plot and like thematically, it's like way more sad that Tony's in his mother's house,
Yes. So then we get a little clip there with Adriana hanging out with her friend. Have we seen this friend before?
I'm pretty sure we've seen her a bunch of times. I think in like season 1. I just because I recognize her from she's in the movie Death Proof, and I think she's that episode where Bobby's dad that had to do the hit. Remember, he had to kill the guy that hit a dude like with a fucking golf club or whatever.
Right. Yep.
She's the girl that's like, can you please give me a ride? Like trying to get away from the crazy guy, and then he hits him in the head because of it. That's who she was.
Right. This is a totally different topic, but I just looked into it just because I happened to have the information pulled up. And the guy who was dead in the photo, we did see him in the episode Pi Oh My. He was in that one.
All right. Well, we got to count it then, right? That's enough. I think that's enough for it.
I think so as well.
They got us. I mean, Sopranos is so good. I mean, all the best shows are good at this, but they're so good at just mining their existing, characters or whatever, pulling out just some rando. So, all right, throw it up on the board. 42.
Exactly. So we're at 42. Let's see. Yeah. So Furio and Chris beat him up in the back office of the Crazy Horse. Like that was that big beat up scene. That's where we saw him.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So we're at the Crazy Horse, hanging out, these gal pals, and Christopher is being flirted with aggressively, or I guess it's more aggressive later, but yeah.
And he kind of is too. Well, I guess. Well, Chris's flirting is when the little Paulie says, my fox and a fox. Then Chris goes, "Let's see your box."
Yeah, because he needs to be a writer, and. Like I still this stuff like this makes me regret that we never got to see his finished screenplay, not yet anyway. Yeah. But she is talking about how she wears furs on the outside on account of being bare everywhere else, and he's like, "Whoa, what?" And he's really impressed by this, very obviously so. And Adriana's like, "What the fuck?" And then next scene, I mean, to be fair, he is frustrated because he's so not on drugs. And he gets home and is yelling at her for drinking wine in the house, and he's got to be around this shit all the time. And what does he say about her? Oh, come on, that cunt's too full of herself anyway. When she suggests that they were actually flirting. So
yeah,
great argument.
Not quite a great way to kind of ease the tensions. And I mean, he kind of has a point. I mean, he's being crisp about it, but like at least he's dealing with everyone drinking when they're all like hanging out at a bar or wherever they're at, a club or whatever. And then she's still also drinking at home. I mean, we know it's probably because she's dealing with all this shit. Well, it is because she's dealing with all this shit with the FBI. But it's got to be tough. Like, you know, they say that if someone's an addict, you don't want to be like rubbing it in their face. But, you know, he's Chris. He's just going to be a fucking weirdo about it.
Yes. And finally, we get around to seeing Tony Egg because Tony Soprano goes over there to the house to meet his mother. And they're talking about his ex-wife, and we get to see some family pictures of the two Tonys together. And he comes out wearing this old suit, this white suit, and they hug it up and snap a picture. We do a nice transition from the snapping picture to the surprise party that they're all throwing in his honor.
Yes, yeah, and I guess we learn a little bit about how Tony B's got kind of he's got his estranged wife, and then he's got like a daughter that ran away, and then twins that his wife doesn't bring to the party. I mean, I guess understandably he's been in jail. We see that there's still some animosity with Artie Bucco and Tony. They're kind of not really on speaking terms yet here. And then who is it? It's not Meadow or AJ. Yeah, it's one of Bobby's kids.
Bobby Jr., yeah.
I never even heard of you.
And that's I felt that he was speaking my mind, like so often in this show. It's like, who's this Ralphie guy? And Bobby Jr. is just there like, no, I've never seen you before. When the viewer, is also feeling the same way. But it's got to be annoying just to have it shoved in your face like, huh, you know, I wasn't even alive when you went away, actually. Like, yeah. So it's got to be annoying. Yeah.
Because it is it's a great I was just gonna say it's a great meta joke, but also it is like, I mean, that's probably how it would happen. You know, out of sight, out of mind. You're a member of the family, and now it's just kind of like you're a ghost until you're back. Yeah. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna call out a small line because I think it's a nice parallel that I kind of missed the first time around, where Tony's like, come on, say it. I haven't changed a bit. And he sort of holds out like, hey, look at me, like a joke. And Tony B is just kind of looks at his stomach, looks at him, and gives him like a look. And they both are laughing. We put that in contrast with the other guy who's like, oh, have you lost weight? Because this is like them being genuine and real. It sort of helps to establish that towards the end as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then even with when Tony B meets back up with Artie, he can easily like kind of goof around with him. But you know, he lost his hair and all that. It's like, look at you, no hair up top, blah blah blah. Then I think Tony had then we see Meadow and AJ are there. Tony kind of has a moment with Carmela where there's still that energy there, that like bad
there
energy.
Awkwardly, yeah. And Tony gets to hold a speech. He is clearly very emotional about having him back home. Let's see. Yeah, and there's the only touchy moment is when Tony B is like, hey, who knows what could have happened if things went the other way, huh, Tony? Like when they're outside walking to the car.
Yeah.
Then they go to the Bada Bing. We get the Sun Tzu line and all that. And then, he meets up with Feach as well. So we notice that Feach actually gives him an envelope, which is like interesting, you know. And yeah, it's the scene in the bathroom as well there with
Johnny
Sack on the shitter.
Yeah, Johnny's on the shitter. He's still, I mean, Johnny Sack, like now every scene he's in, he's always kind of intense, like, I'm ready, what the fuck, you know, I'm taking over. So, I mean, that's kind of, he's keeping that energy. And then when Tony comes back, we get the Gleason impression, boy, are you fat. And it's got to be that, it's that weird thing, because it's like you see it with Feach as well, where they went away a long time ago. They remember Tony a different way, and especially the way Tony B and Tony Soprano grew up. Like Tony says, they were like kind of brothers. Tony Uncle Al, Tony Uncle Johnny, and it's got to be weird now. It's not the same dynamic, especially around other people. And Tony, as we know, Tony Soprano is a very sensitive man, and he immediately is not kind of digging it, but he kind of goes along with it a little bit. Like, there's that awkward moment. Everyone doesn't know how to react, and Tony kind of laughs it off.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe they're obviously more familiar with this stuff than me, but when they're like, oh yeah, of course, the Gleason show, it's still like, yeah, but like, what's the context for whipping out this reference? The context is that you think I'm fat. Like, there's no other way to interpret this. So, fun reference. You're one of those people who just says a line from a movie, except you're actually doing it maliciously. Even though it's not malicious, you're just drunk. But they're getting along fine there in the diner in the morning. They clearly party all night, and Tony unveils this idea of the airbags to get him back on his feet. And we find out that that's not happening, actually.
Yes, yeah, he's going to go the straight and narrow. He got a degree or something or other when he was doing his time. He wants to be a massage therapist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rehab. Like, he got into working with that, and he like you said, he got a degree already because it has been a long time. So Tony's like, yeah, okay, I can do that, I guess. Because he can't find the work for it. So. But he's a bit disappointed.
Yeah, but he's more disappointed because, again, like with Tony, it's all about Tony. So even him, watching the Band of Brothers and thinking about how, things could have been different, or even how Tony B has that line, maybe things were different way back when, my daughter Kelly would be like Meadow or whatever. It's not that he well, I guess he feels guilty, but then, as we know, Tony, he's not going to try to really do anything to make good on it. He's just going to get angry at you for making him feel guilty, Yeah. So that's, I feel like he's annoyed here because he'd rather be able to, well, hey, I set him up with this gig and now he's earning thanks to me. So now we're even. And it's almost like Tony B's insulting him. Not so much because it's like I'm too good to do crime or whatever. It's more, and maybe even morally, if he's going the straight and narrow, would be a better person. But it's like you're robbing me of this way to make things right in my head,
Yeah, I think that's a great read on it, and it's also like I managed to not think about all the bad stuff that I do all the time.
Yeah.
But so now you're deciding not to do that, and that's upsetting. And it is also like, we're a band of brothers. We're the Rat Pack. Come on, you can't leave the Rat Pack and go be a massage therapist. You're like you're the Sinatra to my. Well, let's be serious. I'm Sinatra, but you're the one of the other ones.
Yeah, you're one of the other guys. I'm Sinatra and Dean Martin.
And you're one of the other rats.
Yeah.
So we're about halfway through the episode at this point. That sounded like I was setting up a MeUndies ad or something, but no, I'm saying we're halfway through this episode of The Sopranos, and we get into this lady film club that I want to join more than anything, than I want to join the Rat Pack, because we're obviously these types of people. If I had a home cinema and we could go through the book of the 1,000 films you have to see before you die, I mean, that's a podcast. I mean, someone's already done that, but I want to do that,
Yeah, absolutely. Going through the AFI movies, pulling out Citizen Kane. It's at the top of the list, and I think what they read from was Leonard Maltin's book. I believe so. Yeah, like a quick little blurb before they get in. Yeah, Leonard Maltin's movie guide. And it's great the way it plays out because, the movie ends and then what Adriana's like, so is this sled? Well, you should have told somebody.
Yeah, which again, I get it as well. Citizen Kane's a film that's been discussed to death. I saw it in film school, and when you see it now, you're not really like, "What? My fucking mind's blown, man!" But has been said a million times, you watch another movie from that same year, and you're like, "Citizen Kane was a masterpiece."
Yeah.
Because, like they said, it broke all the rules and invented some new ones, and they just have to sit through the FBI warning at the start as well, which is fun.
That's a great little moment there, and just the way the energy of the room when, like, well, okay, the cinematography, cinematography, that was great, and then what someone brings up some like local gossip, and now it's like a good time. But that, I mean, I don't look down upon them for that because, like you said, what else can there be said about Citizen Kane? It's great to go through and watch these old movies, but it's kind of also okay that it's not going to have the same impact on you. But I like the fun they're having here, and the way the room immediately like livens up more when they can just kind of bullshit about gossipy stuff.
Yes, and even though for once it's not Tony watching a film, it's usually Tony or Junior, to be fair. But like, it still does relate a lot. If you look at Citizen Kane, a man building himself up into a rich asshole who like props other people up in his life, but it's all for selfish reasons. I mean, that's what Tony's doing with Tony B, and of course Carmilla, his family, and all of that stuff. But the conclusion is still like, sled, huh? Okay, let's dish about this local gossip and drink wine, and they get to talk about Carmilla getting a lawyer and all that stuff as well, so, that's all fun.
Yes, yeah, and then what do we have? Adriana.
It leads into Adriana talking about how miserable all these mob wives are with her handler, so to speak, and... Yeah, and in this scene, she kind of wants a bit of connection. She wants the handler to open up a bit, and I think she does, right? This is where
she gives her a quick anecdote. I'm trying to remember exactly. It has something to do with like her sister being shot by like the guy's trying to open a can or something with a gun, like something weird like that. But she kind of tells this. Yeah, it is a personal story. I mean, I guess you could maybe argue she made it up. It's her go-to, but it feels like her origin. But then she gets like right back to business immediately.
Yeah. Let's see. So she also mentions she was married, and the agent she was married to skipped over her and moved away for her career, or for his career, I should say. And yeah, like you said, she wants to take away the kind of people who would try to open a safe or an ATM with a gun or whatever. Is this where she brings out like, you're one of the good guys now, or is that later?
I think that's part of this here now. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole point of that story. That I think that's a way that Adriana hasn't had she's obviously hasn't thought of it like that. I think very few people in the situation would, except, we did see Big Pussy get to that point as well, where he was like, oh yeah, I'm one of the guys now. And he was tailing people, and like, because that was a way to convince himself that he was actually like doing the right thing and he was a good person. So we see some of that here as well.
Yes. Yeah. Then we have Tony B. Shows up at Satriali's, decides to sit in with on the card game. Everyone's kind of busting balls. Tony B is really good at handing out zingers, calling like Vito fat. I think he mentions Paulie's wings, says something about being one of the Munsters or something like that. And I forget if he says something to Tony here or not, because this is when Tony has to take him outside to say, "You don't make fun of me." And it's really a pathetic thing that he has to do here.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think Tony Egg realizes that when he decides not to join the mob game, he's giving up the right to make fun of them as well, like kind of like Artie in a way. He's going to become an Artie to them. But he doesn't like see it that way. He's there handing out zingers left and right, but at the same time he is genuine in his like desire to go straight in that, and he has his massage chair there, and they're like, what? And then we cut to him giving massages, and it's hilarious because they're at first they're of course making fun of him and all, and then they're like, oh, I had no idea, I was so tense, Paulie's saying, which is the standard massage thing to say, and they're all like, wow, this is fantastic. And that's when Tony walks in.
And Tony's annoyed, and he tells him somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed today or something like that.
That's right.
And then it's like, it's none of your business what fucking side of the bed I woke up. Because I get Tony's point of view here, because it is kind of like he's the boss, and it can't always be he's one of the guys, but he's also being super sensitive. But like, To Steve Buscemi's credit, like as an actor, when you just get that quick hint when he says you're crowding me, like he says a lot there. Where like because we're seeing that Tony B's this guy trying to go straight, and he's kind of just goofing around all the time. But you kind of see what maybe Tony B was when he was a part of the crew, just in that quick line and like the look on his face. So it's a great scene.
And I mean, again, we have an advantage in this podcast that I have no idea what's going to happen. I've seen 54 episodes of The Sopranos. And I mean, I feel that this is a great way to introduce him because I think it's going to turn and he's going to get dragged back into the mob stuff. But obviously, you can't comment on that. And maybe I'm like, another thing with The Sopranos is, I could be wrong. He could become a massage therapist. Like, that could be a thing. And then he goes to therapy, and then, like, he gets shot randomly in a mugging that has nothing to do with these, like, mob wars. Like, that could also be the thing. So I don't even know.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Tony lays it out for him. Basically, you don't make fun of me. Or, okay, I was going to say, then he says, you know, maybe when we're just us, but I think he says that later. Like right now, he's just kind of all fire here. You don't make fun of me. He's the boss now. It is similar to like a Richie Aprile when he had to be like, I'm the fucking one that calls the shots. But there was more higher stakes at least there, where Richie Aprile was like running roughshod on, you know, what's his face there, the guy he ran over and just fucking around with people. But Tony B's just kind of making comments. And I think from there we have Chris and Tina flirting again. I forget if he has anything as good as like check out her box like he had in the earlier scene. I think now it's like Adriana is getting him like a soda water or something, and Tina's like making eyes at Chris and shit. Like I think probably making comments too, but now they're like staring in each other's eyes, getting real all sexual here.
Yeah, I mean, she makes like a joke about it's not even important, but then he's like, why you always got to talk like a whore? And she's like, oh, because men like it. And he's like, I think you're right about that. And like, she's right there. Adriana's right there. It's not like they don't know she's there. So it's like, yeah, I can't drink the alcohol. I guess I'll just flirt with people in front of you. This will fix our relationship. So, yes, moving forward, we have another meeting there where we find out that maybe this guy, Maceron, flipped. Maybe, but we're not sure. We need to feel him out somehow.
Yeah, Patsy comes into the Bing. He's got news from my guy up there. You know, he ran the plate on the car. Looks like they were feds. So now they're wondering, you know, maybe it's plausible that maybe the feds just tracked him there. They don't know if he's flipped yet. So yeah, this is great, classic Sopranos, because you know Tony's like, all right, I'm gonna go feel him out. I'm gonna go meet him, and we're gonna figure this out. I need to know 100%.
I'm a very good judge of character, or whatever he says.
And then kind of like intercut with this, we have Carmilla is getting ready for their other movie night, but the components have been taken out in a nice passive aggressive Tony move. He's like, I guess he got word they were doing movie night, so he took the fucking the components. She has to call him like right before he does the meeting. They have like a quick little back and forth on the phone. Tony's doing the obvious, like when he does meet Mazaron, he's like hugging him and like feeling him up. Like it's so clear what he's doing. He's patting him on the chest and shit. He does even grab the hat for a second, like you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's a great comedic cut where, you know, what the fuck do I know? No, I couldn't tell shit. What am I, a mind reader?
Yes. And he's like, oh, have you like seen anything weird? And he's like, no, and I don't really know like what I'm hearing here, because I think he's saying that he's sensing that he's maybe like not sure about him, and then he, like you said, he comes back like, who the fuck do I know? But I mean, the thing is, he is a good judge of character. We know this. So he eventually comes around to like putting together the stuff that he heard there. He gave him the painting. He asked if he lost weight, obviously. So yeah. But still, I don't. He's not sure quite yet.
Yeah, he said it looked like I lost some weight, motherfucker. And then they're all like, because he looks at like, well, I think it's like Chris and Syl, and they kind of like don't want to make eye contact because they're like, no, you haven't. And then I think then he gets, I mean, they don't get into what the details are here, because then the Korean delivery guy that hired Tony B calls Tony and he's all mad. Tony B is fucking something up, but I don't think they really get into what he did. Like the truck's missing or he's late or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, exactly. And Tony, again, he's still full of all his anger, mainly at Carmilla or whatever. And now he's angry that he couldn't read this guy. So now he yells like, fire him for all I care, because he doesn't want him going on the straight and narrow. But then when Christopher says something about it, he's like, what, you don't want him to do fine now that he's going on the straight and narrow? But then he's also like, fucking fire him for all I care.
Yeah, Chris is like, yeah, we can get Tony B to take care of the Mazarone thing. And then, yeah, what do you not understand? The man's trying to go straight.
Yes.
And then we got back to movie club, and since they can't watch Casablanca, they're just kind of hanging out having wine. They're having fun. They're probably having more fun than if they watch Casablanca, but they're like, what's next on the list? Nice little funny goof here. The Godfather. Everyone kind of rolls their eyes.
Yes.
And then we have Rosalie and Adriana sharing a smoke outside. And I think what Adriana asks about Big Pussy's wife, Angie, like why she's not there.
Yes, exactly. And they're like, saying that, or she's saying that, he went into the program, the famous lie. And Adriana says like, who knows why people do what they do. But Rosalie is still like, what kind of person would do that? Like, eating that Last Supper with Jesus and still knowing you're going to crucify him. What a Judas. At least Judas didn't go into any apostle protection program. He hung himself. He knew what he did. Like, all great pep talk stuff for Adriana there. I wonder, the way we read this scene, this scene ends with her just going, oh, you're shivering. It's so cold. Let's go inside. But then when Adriana's breaking down, I think we get a shot of Rosalie. Does she kind of feel that something's going on, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to gauge because, you would almost seem like she would have to put it together, but I'm not sure if she does or not. But it would almost seem like we were just talking about this, and now because Adriana does basically, she's crying, and then she does basically say I need to tell you all something, and she doesn't even do that movie or TV thing where all of a sudden they're like instead of saying the thing like, I just love you all so much, she just runs away. And, falls on her face, gets in her car and kind of drives off. And
go ahead. I was going to say, I think I thought she was going to do that thing. And I thought she was going to say, I think Christopher's cheating on me, to tie into the other storyline, that she would bust that out just to have a thing. Because they're all talking about that sort of thing as well. But instead she says, I'm not what you think. To tell you something, I don't know what to do. Runs off, and they don't want her to drive, but she runs off and drives even after falling on her face. And they all just let her go.
And I think when they cut to Rosalie, they're more. I think they're just laying out the fact that what stops her. She's almost about to say, but then she's like, "Well, wait, it doesn't matter. Even if I come clean now, I'm still Judas, and it's not they're not going to help me." But I will say, I love remembering the next time on The Sopranos. I wish I could find these. If anyone has an in on where the next on The Sopranos might be located online, let me know, because I do remember for this episode they used this shot of all the women being when they run out, you don't see the Adriana in the shot, it's them reacting to her falling, and it made it seem oh my god, what's going down at the Sopranos house.
Yeah. That's great. So just to wrap on her storyline before we go back a step, it does end with her sort of giving up this other girl who's been fiddling around with invoices and things like that, and she sees that does get noted down seriously, and something she might get taken out of the picture just by doing that. So this episode is sort of her he's turning into the guy with the sun hat at the start of the episode, and all the other informants who are wheeling and dealing and trying to get what they want out of it. She kind of sees this as well, I'm in it now, I may as well use it for this, I guess, because she's so frustrated on both sides of what's going on with her life and with Christopher and this girl and the FBI thing. At least she can use this to get something she wants.
Yeah, because I think she even says what do I get out of it? And I think earlier was the answer was you're one of the good guys or something, and it's you know what, that's not enough, especially, you know, you're risking your life here, and whether it be on the outside it looks like a great life or not, that's still her family and life that she's kind of putting on the line. So I get it, and it is a nice little moment, because yeah, she gets to get her small little revenge on Tina, who's, you know, what they're doing, phony invoices, and you know, stealing money from the company she works for.
Yes. So, stepping back from that, we have Tony drunk at home, rearranging his interior decorating, which I will also do when I'm drunk, so I can relate to this. And he's putting the Rat Pack painting here and there, kind of looking at it, then takes a break to call Tony Egg, and kind of explain, listen, it's not that I don't want you to bust my balls, just kind of in private, you know, like, you got the guys and all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, trying to maintain respect, and then and even like Tony B, like he's this is kind of the epitome of that. Like he has to sit on the phone. I mean, given you would do it if it's someone who's family and someone you care about, and they're calling you at 3 a.m. because they're clearly upset. But there's also an element of like, well, I don't want to piss them off, so I kind of have to sit and listen for a little bit, and then be like, yeah, well, I got to get up soon, Tone. Oh, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, go to sleep. And it also reminds me of when Tony because we're seeing Tony without therapy again. And the last time we saw Tony without therapy, remember he tried to go to Hesh and talk to Hesh, and they're just both talking to each other and not listening, because they both have their own little, you know, anxieties they want to kind of vent out. And he's trying to do that here again, just to someone that kind of has to listen.
Yeah, that's kind of a great point, because he manages to bring up like what's going on with Carmilla. They're both on their own and maintaining respect and all of this stuff. And like you said, at the end, it's like, listen, I gotta be up in 2 hours, Tony. He's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, go to sleep. And he says, you're my cousin, you're my best friend. You gotta know we could always talk. And and yeah, all of that stuff. Good stuff. I mean, it's a nice scene, even though it's not what do we say, mutual. It's not it's just him getting what he wants, because he's Tony. And then in the morning he does go and he takes off his top and critically inspects himself and concludes, this guy's gotta die. What a rat.
Yeah, he looks at himself in the mirror, you know, and I get it does tie in with boy, are you fat. You know, it's hit a sore spot, but it also brings him to this enlightenment. And I like that it cuts to him tossing the painting off the bridge, and then we see him just in the trunk. Like, we don't need to see the death scene. It's like we see more of the painting death than we do of the actual murder of Mazarone. We just see kind of the outcome of it. And yeah, he's just in his trunk, dead. Oh yes, that's another one we got to toss up on the old counter here.
It's kind of a big episode for deaths.
Yeah, they're racking them up. 43?
43. Yeah, 43, everybody. This bridge as well that he tosses it off, like, I'm no geographer. Like, I don't really know New York or Jersey that well, but I've seen this bridge in this show before.
Yeah, I don't know which bridge it is, because, I mean, I'm not like a bridge and tunnel guy either, but I'm just going to say it's the George Washington Bridge.
Seems right. Because I swear I've seen it before in this show. But anyway, yeah, guy's dead, and we wrap with Adriana there giving up the information. And yeah, we see the hat guy again, the capo as well towards the end there. But just I guess we see him again just to kind of draw the parallel with what's going on with Adriana and how she's developing, right?
Yeah, and he wants more money, and again, it is like showing how even some of these people, they're using it to get what they want or get something out of the deal.
Yeah, excellent. So that's episode 2. It is quite a lot for episode 2. It's maybe they felt like we got to kill some people here in the first few episodes. Granted, one of them was natural causes, and one of them was just in a picture, but and one of them was off screen. But we got to get some mob stuff in there early on so people remember that it's a mob show, because a lot of it is about like, hey, we're just hanging out, and this guy's back, like he's been away on business, like we said to Bobby Jr. and all of that. But it's a great introduction for this character, like you said in that scene outside the Bing, I think they're at, or Satrielli's, maybe it is, when he says like, you're crowding me, we see a hint of what's potentially to come. So there's a lot of promise in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the thick of it, season 5. So yeah, send any of your thoughts on this episode or any upcoming episodes to showswhatyouknowshow@gmail.com. Make sure to read them on the show. And also, please rate, review, and subscribe to Cut to Black or Shows What You Know, or both on iTunes. That really helps the show out a lot. Thank you, and please.
It's very much appreciated. Of course, you can always go to jimandthem.com for more from Jim, and awesomepedia.org is where you'll find my other online work, various other podcasts from both of us, and video projects and similar. And apart from that, there's just one more thing, Jim.
Oh, wow. What's that?
Cut to Black.